Did Meghan Markle lie to Netflix about the success of As Ever in order to secure a new deal? That is a question I can't help but ask because magically, although Meghan's previous stocks of confectionaries and wine sold out in record time, it has been a week and 2 days since Meghan launched her second batch of her As Ever rosé, and this one did not sell out, just as the Netflix deal, I'm sure, was being signed. And I can't help but wonder and ask, was Meghan, of course, using the scarcity tactic the entire time? The one that on Emma Greed's show, she said that she actually wasn't employing. That's just so hard, to keep stock in. But I think we have some fair amount of evidence that it wasn't about actually keeping stock in. It was about desperately clinging to the Netflix deal and making As Ever look as good as possible, even though As Ever it was failing. So we are going to look at this today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I do provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you back. And we do have a little bit of section for the Crown Report today. We did have Queen Mary, who was out yesterday. She was visiting a young people's charity that helps with mental health. It goes along with her Mary Foundation. And we have a little bit of an interesting case from Buckingham Palace because I'm thinking more and more that there is something rotten in the palace because we've had two very clear PR blunders this year. And the one that happened yesterday is pretty egregious and bizarre. So there was a online list of 75 things that maybe you did or did not know about Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, who turns 75 tomorrow, August 15th. And on that list, it says that her husband, Sir Timothy Lawrence, who is her second husband, who was not married before, all of a sudden had two children, a boy and a girl, both of whom were named. Of course, that is completely incorrect. And so that was taken down from Buckingham Palace. We have also earlier this year, Buckingham Palace reporting that Catherine was going to be at Ascot when she wasn't. And I can't help but wonder, debating at the time with the Catherine incident, if it was Kensington Palace who dropped the ball or Buckingham Palace. But now that we've had a second pretty big blunder from Buckingham Palace this year, I can't help but think that there's somebody who should probably be fired in their PR department or communications team. Just saying, because that type of mistake should not be happening. So I hope the palace rectifies it soon. We also have reports that King Felipe and Queen Letizia and their two daughters, they are the monarchs of Spain, are in Greece, maybe staying at the residence of King Wilhelm Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. These royal families happen to be very close. Maxima is originally from Argentina, so her native tongue is Spanish. And in addition to that, their daughter Princess Catherine Amalia, the future queen of the Netherlands, stayed in Spain when there were threats against her life. And so I feel like the families have become quite close. So I would not be surprised if they are staying together. We've heard that the Spanish royals are in Athens. It's questionable whether or not they are at the residence of the Dutch royals, but I would not be surprised either. Apparently, they have a very nice home, which they get criticized for in Greece. So that is just a little bit here for the Crown Report today. But let's get into this little thing because this is fascinating. The timing of all of a sudden, despite Meghan Markle, we're stocking so well and we're working so hard to make sure everybody can get what they want, but still, make sure you don't miss out, implying that things could sell out. All of a sudden, we have a product that does not sell out. In fact, let me just double check before we begin here. Her Napa Valley Rosé, ladies and gentlemen, it is still available. $90, buy 3 bottles. And this lack of selling out is something that should be very much discussed because everything else Meghan has sold out within about 4 hours. I'm not joking. The shortest time was maybe the wine that was 45 minutes, or maybe actually the initial batch was like 30 minutes. So this was in April. Second batch, it was about 4 hours until everything sold out. The wine, it was 45 minutes. And now we have a wine that's been available now for a week and 2 days. Why? And this might seem like a stupid thing to discuss, but I think it's really important because my big question is, and I don't really think it's true, but It begs the question, was Netflix told how successful As Ever was when it was really just background shenanigans going on the entire time? That, in fact, things were not selling out. In fact, it had been designed so things always seem to sell out. The scarcity tactic, again, Meghan acknowledges existed and claims not to use, seems to come to the forefront pretty clearly here. So let's go ahead and explore a little bit of this because I want to share with you guys the statement from Bella Bajaria of Netflix after they inked their second part of the deal. And it's this lower line here. More recently, fans have been inspired by With Love Meghan with products from the new As Ever line consistently selling out in record time. Well, Bella certainly did not sell out this time, did it? What's going on? We're excited to continue our partnership with Archibald Productions and to entertain our members together. So, I've said recently, and I still think it's true, that Netflix is not that invested in As Ever. But you can see where Meghan is attempting to sweeten the pot with Netflix by showing off how well her brand is doing. But again, we have some pretty solid evidence here that the whole thing was manufactured in the first place. And I have always been of the theory that the selling out was always manufactured. And I think this time we have basically absolute proof of that. It was always manufactured, it was always fake. And I'm sure, to be fair, that Netflix always sort of knew this, but they allowed Meghan to hold the delusion anyways. Because again, they don't really think As Ever is going to be the cash cow Meghan Markle thinks it is. So I want to look at, though, a Harper's Bazaar piece because I actually did a whole video on this and I didn't get it edited fast enough. And honestly, it may be in some ways a bit old news. I might share it with members. So if you are a member of Royal News Network, you might see this little piece here. But to share how successful the brand is, Meghan's team went to Harper's Bazaar of all places, because when you want the bastion of journalism, you don't go to the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, or the Washington Post. You go to Harper's Bazaar, a fashion magazine. And this is a piece that was basically written by Meghan's PR team. I doubt that the journalist did much writing on it at all, to be fair. That is just my personal theory. And again, this is all my personal theory. Just got to say that. But I think it's incredibly clear how much they're trying to massage the truth here. And there's one section where when I was trying to do the math last time, when I did a previous version of this video, the math just didn't math. And it goes to show that even though Meghan, yes, made more of the stock, considering how well things did last time, this thing should have sold out. And Meghan made a post as if it was going to sell out on her Instagram, but it didn't. Why? What the heck is going on? Well, of course, it's needless shenanigans to try to feign success instead of achieving it. So let's begin. How Duchess Meghan's Rosé made her company's sales skyrocket. Harper's Bazaar has exclusive details on As Ever's whirlwind summer. So again, it's like sales skyrocket. There wasn't that much of it in the first place. We'll go into why, but this doesn't make any sense. This simply is a PR exercise. So they say it's been a big week for Meghan. This came out last week. She turned 44. Who cares? She also geared up for the second drop of her brand's Rosé on August 5th. So again, 9 days ago. As Ever saw 10,000 bottles of their 2024 Napa Valley Rosé purchased in the first 10 minutes that the wine was available to buy. A brand spokesperson shared exclusively with Harper's Bazaar. Of those purchases, 20% were made by repeat customers, many of which purchased the 6 and 12-pack sizes this go-around, showing customer confidence and favorability for the rosé following the first wine drop. So there's a couple things here. So it claims that 10,000 bottles were sold in the first 10 minutes. Now, you actually have to say at the very least, she only had 3,000 customers, though, which is a pretty small number. There were only 3,000 customers because every person had to buy at least 3 bottles. Now, when you add in that there were people who purchased 6 and 12-pack sizes, you can actually pull that number down to even lower of 2,000 or less. And the reason that's important, guys, it's sort of like watch time versus views. in certain cases. So when it comes to me on YouTube, actually, my videos that sometimes make more money are those that people watch for a longer period of time. And I had one video on my fashion channel, Royal Fashion News. If you haven't subscribed, please do. More content coming soon, I promise, guys. And I did a video on the Jordanian royal wedding. The average view time was like a minute. And its actual revenue generated from that video is about the same as a video that had a third of the views, but a much higher watch time. Now, that's not an apples to apples comparison, but what they're doing here, and I want to be clear, is sort of trying to give you the metric that doesn't matter quite as much. Yes, how many bottles you sold matter, but how many customers do you have? And what's ironic is that if they had shared this number 20% with the average business person, they would have gone, oh no. So I looked this up when I did the previous video. And when it comes to repeat customers, what sort of industry standard as good is at least 30%. So 20% is at the low end of okay. It's not really all that good. A good number would be 30 to 40 to 50% return customers. 20% is actually really quite low. And it's low for a couple of reasons. Number one, they did the launches too close together. And it just didn't make a ton of sense why we have two different versions. I don't even know why, guys, Meghan sold a 2023. She just should have gone with the 2024. Like the 2023 is useless because she didn't have the right cork for it. She didn't have a branded cork. The wine had too much alcohol, was a bit acidic. And so, like, why? But this is actually not an impressive number. To actual business people who know things, 20% is actually not that great. Again, on a scale, they say between 20 and 50% is sort of like the average. You're talking about the lowest end of average. It's not below average. I mean, you could almost say it is though, because basically it's on the cusp of being below average. Like you're on the lowest end of average. So it's not that impressive, but it was overpriced. It wasn't that good. And you have this thing where you have to buy 3 bottles. Some people who purchase the bottles might not even be through with them yet. And then you have crazies buying 6 and 12 packs. Like, why? Are they reselling them? Like, what the heck are they doing? It's just really bizarre. Or they're buying them and like shipping them overseas. Like somebody from As Ever shared, oh, from California to Abu Dhabi. And it's like, okay, why would you need? Come on, I'm sure you can get infinitely better rosé in Abu Dhabi than you can get from Meghan Markle's. And Meghan is trying to, you could say, buffer her stuff by giving some of it to the Kardashians this round as well. But again, her wine is only $30. There's nothing unique or proprietary about it, really. Like at least Cameron Diaz's, she has like a special thing she's going for, organic, low sugar. Like there is an actual hook to it. There's no hook to Meghan's except for I'm Meghan Markle. So I'm sure they took one picture of it, in this case, Kris Jenner, and I'm sure it immediately went to the trash can or a person on their staff. They probably didn't drink any of it. That would be my guess. So let's keep going. So it says, since its inception, As Ever has been a journey of joy, learning, and evolution. I don't care. It's like a business is not always a joy, people. It's hard work. Why do you keep calling it a joy? Why do you need like these are sort of innocuous buzzwords by people who don't really know how to run a business. That's what I get from these. And it says our products are created with love, shared with meaning, connecting people through life's special moments, big and small. We want every customer to delight in owning a piece of As Ever. Well, I own a couple pieces, and I have to say it is not a delight. It's a pain in the butt because none of it's good. It's just average. And all this gobbledygook nonsense is just meaningless word salad. It doesn't mean, it will not drive customers. What drives customers is good reviews. This product is good. You need this product. I don't give a crap if it's made with joy and learning and evolution. I don't care. So, guys, I have a Canon camera up here, and it's a Canon R. I have a nice lens on it. So that's why we get this really nice effect. That's why I had to update my makeup routine because the lens was so good. I looked really crappy if I didn't do my really nice makeup. And so with this lens, I don't care if it was made with joy or learning or evolution. Well, learning and evolution are kind of important, but I don't care if it's made with joy or love or meaning or connecting with people. I want to know it works. I don't care about those other aspects. Those other aspects are meaningless. I care that it works. Now, granted, obviously it's a different has different functions, but I think at the same time, like they're overemphasizing stuff that doesn't matter when it comes to business. We want to make our stuff so important or so good, really, more so very good that everybody wants a piece of as ever. I don't think anybody wants a piece of as ever. Who wants to buy this joke of a brand? I don't know. I definitely don't want to buy what I got, but it's just one of those things where you just get the sense again that this is a pet project for a duchess that needs something to do because she doesn't know what else to do. And then it gets kind of more crazy. And so we have on July 1st, which happened to be what would have been the 64th birthday of Meghan's mother-in-law, Princess Diana, who died in 1997, the company's 2023 Napa Valley Rosé sold out in 45 minutes. I should figure out how many times it's been since then because now we have hours upon hours upon hours of hours since then. And yeah, hasn't sold out yet. For that launch, Harper can reveal that the order numbers increased substantially from the first launch of As Ever products in April, and that there was even more growth from the first launch in April to the second wine drop this week. So, but we have no ideas of the product numbers. So this saying it grew, well, sure, but how much? And it doesn't matter. You need to have products in shop all the time. It should not be rocket science. Again, I feel like explaining gravity to a chicken. Like, how do you guys not understand? How do you nincompoops not to put together that you should have stock on hand all the time to sell because you can make more money? But again, it's about sweetening the pot with Netflix, not about actually making the brand successful. Do you know what would have impressed Netflix? Because Netflix get a piece of all this. It's selling a crap ton of products instead of a small amount so you can look successful. Because now, again, it's been a week and a half or a week and a couple of days, and Meghan Markle's wine is still for sale. So again, you have the question, which Meghan Markle has posed to us basically because of her weird launches, is that are we stocking correctly now? Or are people not biting anymore? I don't know which it is, but it doesn't look good because that question exists because of how Meghan Markle has set up her brand. As soon as her initial batch sold out, hey, I have some sympathy there that can happen. The next batch should have been available to go in 2 weeks. It took what, 2 months or something? It launched on a random day. It's still sold out. It was random stuff. It's just like none of this flows together at all. And as a customer, I find it obnoxious. And got to think here, guys, before I forget. So she launched her initial wine on July 1st, Diana's birthday, the woman who died in a drunk driving accident. You wanted to commemorate her birthday with alcohol. Bravo for that, by the way. But in addition to that, the next batch came out on her birthday. So you have this birthday connection Meghan's trying to make between her mother-in-law, who died in a drunk driving accident, and herself with wine. Who knows? Was the driver drunk on wine when the accident occurred? Did you ever think of that, Meghan? No, because it's all about you. I'm going to guess that's the case. Anyways, so the 2024 Napa Valley Rosé, sold in the brand's second wine offering, was influenced by customer feedback from the first release, the spokesperson said, which is sort of a lie. Because of the bottling process and everything and the shipping and getting it to distribution and stuff, I ordered my wine on July 1st. It did not arrive until July 17th. And some people got it earlier, to be fair, but I doubt they could make that many changes before rebottling and shipping out the new one. They had the new one in stock already. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Like, to say otherwise is just doesn't make sense to me. Yes, rosé is very easy to make, so it's not super difficult. But at the same time, you have, branded corks, you have to bottle it, like so many different things. I imagine it was already done. This idea that they were getting feedback from customers. Although, to be fair, they changed their cork and they changed their alcohol content, which were two things I suggested. So bravo, as ever, for taking tips from me. All right. And then it says this is and has been the goal for as ever product drops, because nothing is more important than making sure our community can get their hands on what they love. Well, why isn't anything in stock, guys? Why is nothing ever in stock? That's a lie. So here's where the math doesn't math. So it says after selling out its first 3 product offerings in April, June, and July, As Ever wanted to get our product to more customers. You could do that, guys, by keeping product in stock. This is not rocket science. That this somehow is really difficult for you, I question, because this should not be challenging. This should not be challenging at all. And so it says to do so, As Ever increased its inventory by 3 times from its July rose drop to its August rose drop. The spokesperson says that the brand sold nearly 50% more on day 1 of its August 5 drop than it did on its July 1st drop. Okay, so a couple things here. Number 1, if you only increase your inventory by 3 times, why didn't it take you 3 hours to set up? Why didn't it take you 3 hours to sell out? If the interest in the brand was as high as the first round, why didn't the second round correspond in terms of available product to sales? That demonstrates to me an actual massive dip in interest. Now it says here, and again, this is all semantics, that the brand sold 50% more on day 1 of its August 5 drop than its July 1st drop. So if everything sold out on July 1st, and I would love for a math person, like this is like, I don't know what type of math problem this is, but if somebody can figure this out, this would be awesome. So if it sold 50% more on day 1, that means 50% of the stock was gone on day 1. And then we're a week and 2 days later, and it's the rest of that 50% still has not sold out. Maybe they've restocked and that's why it's still there. That could entirely be the case. But the thing is, we don't know because Meghan Markle has set herself up for failure here because the questions exist. And it looks like, and I don't really think she did, but it looks like she pulled the wool over the eyes of Netflix and feigned success so that she could ink a better deal. That's what it looks like. Because obviously something is not right here. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Or the more likely thing is that, yeah, maybe you had 50% more interest because you tripled the inventory, but that other half hasn't moved because people didn't like it and people didn't want more of it. And that's a huge red warning flag. And this would not exist if Meghan had done everything correctly in the beginning and stocked like she should have. And so, speaking of adding wine to As Ever product repertoire, the source says we knew we were bringing something special to the market. It's really not special. None of this is special, guys. None of this is special, proprietary, or interesting. Nothing. Nothing. So I don't think there's anything more here, just kind of regurgitating what we already knew. And this feels like AI to me. It still does a bit. And I didn't notice the last time I was here, like this cork is different than the one I even got. Like huge questions, though, remain about this brand. And I do think Meghan expected it to sell out. Because we do have this here from Meghan's Instagram says, shop our newest Napa Valley summer favorite while supplies last. So a week ago, I think this came out technically yesterday, a week ago. So August 5th, which is correct. And so it didn't move. That was a week ago. And it says, while supplies last, which tells me that the supplies are limited. So the supplies are limited, like it's been every time, but this time you don't sell out. Why? And then we have like this. I don't know how this is supposed to get anybody to buy her rosé. She's horrible at branding and management. It says well served and well deserved. Cheers. Then we have a shadow with wine glass. Oh, we see you too. Australia, UK, Canada. Love to see how you're finding a way to get our As Ever products. You need to capitalize As Ever, Meghan. Please, for the love of goodness. It looks dumb when you don't do that. As you have good taste and good friends. Then we say when a rosé sunset matches your pour. And then I do have to talk about this real quick. Guys, this is so incredibly bad. So our As Ever team is getting creative in the kitchen with our shortbread cookie mix, flour sprinkles, and delicious fruit spreads. Perfect for tea time or anytime. Okay, show you making this. What is this thing on the bottom? Like, did you make frosting? Like, you need to show how to make this stuff. Like, don't just post a random perfectly curated picture. This looks like AI. This 100% could be AI. Like, how do I know? Like, was a little short video of her, like, picking a cookie out or whatever, but still, it's just like, why? And I showed this to members, but I feel like it's good to share this here too. Watching Gwyneth Paltrow cook is actually very impressive. She actually looks like a real chef. She actually works really hard to make these crazy elaborate meals, and she's adding things like this could be totally made up, I don't know. But to me, I actually feel like I would go to Gwyneth's house and be really, really excited and happy to have whatever she's making. I don't want what Megan is making. But the bigger question, of course, here is, guys, did she fake numbers for Netflix? Did she fake product stuff for Netflix? And I did forget to mention something here, real quick, guys. Before I forget, she is sort of teasing here, or somebody from the team is, whoever that is, that, the shortbread cookie mix is sold out. When is it coming? And so I imagine it's coming in the next week or two to correspond with the show, which does make sense. But of course, she doesn't show her actual product. So that's kind of stupid. But did Megan fake selling out in order to impress her bosses at Netflix? I can't help but think, but yes, that is exactly what she did. And it's in poor taste from a business perspective because, quite frankly, Bella Bajaria looks kind of dumb for saying, oh, it sold out when this time it definitely did not sell out. You look kind of dumb. And that's has to be a bit embarrassing. Now, again, I think they were aware it probably wasn't. This is all PR happy talk. When you get these kind of statements, they're all lying, basically. Very different from the palace. The palace can make mistakes. The palace is there to massage the truth. But I feel like Hollywood people oftentimes outright lie. So that's not a outside the box thing to think. But when it comes to Megan here, I would not be surprised if she thinks she's smarter than Netflix and faked it. It looks 100% like she faked it. And now we're in the point because she secured the new deal. And granted, I don't think it's a good deal. I still don't think it's a good deal. She finally is letting the true colors of the brand show, which is that it's not that successful. It's not that popular. People are not generally super duper interested in it. Now we'll see if this next round, if she doesn't have another sellout, maybe she's finally stocking correctly. But again, that's the question. The question exists because of Meghan Markle. If you don't play these games, you don't have this needless speculation. And yes, Meghan loves the needless speculation, but it's not going to help her in the long run, especially if you could say she was lying to Netflix. Now, again, that's just my personal opinion. I have no idea really what's going on behind the scenes. But how convenient is it that as soon as the ink is dry on the contract, all of a sudden we see what a failure as ever is? And it's a failure. And Megan's not there, or maybe it was even part of the deal where Netflix is like, just stop that. Just stop the games, let it run, even if it's not successful. Honestly, again, Netflix is not banking on as ever to fill its coffers. It's 100% not. But oh man, I think Megan really thought she could pull one over on people. But of course, I think she's only damaging herself in the process. But guys, let me know what you think. I really do appreciate all your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you again very, very soon. Bye.